Mic wasn't working earlier. It was not working earlier? No. Okay. Alright, so how's everybody doing?
Yeah.
Who here gave money to us for Kickstarter?
If I'd heard of you, I would have.
I see like maybe 10% of you, and there should be 80% of you because we created the world's America's first mech. We challenged Japan to a real-life mech battle, and it's going to be the most epic shit that you've ever seen. All So, MegaBots, my name is Brinkley. I'm one of the 3 co-founders of MegaBots. These are some of the folks on the screen that built the world's first mech. That's who I am. This is our robot. This was created by one of our fans and submitted to us. So that's the sort of the anime cartoon version. And what we are is a Silicon Valley robotics startup combined with a Hollywood studio. And so our sort of claim to fame is that we built America's first operational mech. And it has 2 pilots per robot. The limbs deliberately fall off. They have giant paintball cannons. And we're going to eventually have like a giant chainsaw, a flame-throwing cigar, and some other really awesome things. And the vision of our company is basically to create a combination between Formula 1 and NASCAR, UFC, and Transformers. And so what we want is, in the future, fans from around the world to come to stadiums where there are 15-foot tall, giant human-piloted robots doing epic battle against each other in the most amazing form of entertainment to ever make history. This is our team. So my CEO, or my co-founder, Guy Cavalcanti, is a former engineer with Boston Dynamics, which was acquired by Google. So he's one of the leading experts when it comes to like really legitimate robotics. So they're building stuff for the military, emergency evacuations, things like that. So all those robots you see there, he actually integrated. We have a really awesome team, which is includes some famous people, some of the guys from Mythbusters and the creators of BattleBots. These are some of the robots from Boston Dynamics. And so what we wanted to do was to take military-grade robots and create them for entertainment. So we're like, okay, let's do this. Technology's there. Let's make it happen. So what I wanted to do is walk you through the process of building this mech and where we are today. So this is beginning in February of 2015. This is CEO Guy. He's an amazing mechanical engineer. So he's staring at a computer. He's taken tons of Adderall, and he's designing a giant robot. So these guys, that's the other co-founder, Matt. So the first part of all this is really just staring at a computer. We had some film guys that were helping to document the process. And all of this is eventually going to be a television program leading up to the Duel next year. So look out for the TV show. So this is Matt cutting steel. So first, or after we got the design, it became a matter of materials. And so we had to actually produce everything from scratch. And so when you eventually see the robot, just keep in mind that every single thing on the robot was custom built, including the cylinder. The only thing that was not custom built was the treads, which came off of like a Caterpillar piece of construction equipment. This is me squirting high-pressure water off of some 3D model prints. So before we built the robot, we 3D printed it to sort of do a rapid prototype. This is in Autodesk headquarters in San Francisco. Autodesk was our first sponsor, so they gave us access to $10 million worth of tools. So that's how we were able to build the robot with a really low budget. That's a high-pressure water jet machine, and so it cuts steel. So the water that comes out of that machine could cut off your hand, like sort of like Luke Skywalker style. It's really, really intense, and it cuts right through steel. This is what you'll see becomes the rotating giant paintball machine gun or Gatling gun. This was actually designed by a fan, so we had an open call contest. So any fan that was able to actually design a giant paintball weapon, we said, okay, we will attempt to build your design and actually put it on the robot. So the winning guys from Maine He submitted this cannon arm and ended up building it. This is the very beginning phases of us putting it together. Again, all of this is from scratch. This is the gun coming together. You can see like the reloading magazine mechanism, almost like a revolver. This is basically one of the world's most intense potato guns ever created. It's like having somebody from the military, like if your granddad worked, was from the CIA or something, be like, yeah, I can help you make a potato gun. It ended up being really awesome. So these are just some screenshots of us in build mode. So after it went from the
12:30 engine room tour, we'll be leaving from Hangar Bay 1 at orientation in approximately 10 minutes. If you have signed up for the 12:30 engine room tour, please report back to orientation in Hangar Bay 1.
Perfect timing.
Oh yeah, so this is just some screenshots of us actually building the robot. On the top,
Oh dear.
what happened?
Wireless.
You're
good.
Come back?
Yeah.
Okay. Artificial intelligence is easy, but audio-visual is hard. Yeah, so this is us building the robot. On the top left, I think, that's one of the arms. So if you look at that, you can see a lot of the guts of the robot. So those are actuators, and those actuators actually control the arm and all of the different movements. So there's 13 actuators on here. It's all run through hydraulics. And yes, you can see on the top right, that was when we were priming the robot, so like we had to actually paint the thing. And all of this is leading up to Maker Faire this year, which was like the big premiere event. It's the first time that we showed off this robot publicly. And so we were doing like 18-hour days. Like I was doing all the painting, like basically just like the do boy of the team, since I'm not an engineer. I'm more like an artist kind of a guy, business development guy, and so I would just be available and they would just tell me to do stuff and I would just do it. And so this is us when we got the engine first installed with about a week to go, still having never started it. So we had no idea if it was going to work. This is like what we call the nest. This is where all of the hydraulic hoses come together right underneath the cockpit. And you can sort of see like all of the different hydraulic cables and wires that are going on in the robot. Little small things ended up being like huge time. Like this is the real hard part of building the robot. Is all of these little valve pieces here. Nobody had them, and so they sent us the wrong size. We have a week to go. We put on the ones they shipped us, and it's like, yep, that's not going to work. So then again, I was the guy, I literally drove to almost outside of Los Angeles through the night just to pick up $7 worth of these parts and then drove back like the same night, just ridiculous stuff like that to make this thing work. When we first turned on the engine, we weren't sure what was going to happen. So you can see the guys, they actually attached a string like in case something set on fire, wouldn't get too hurt. This is when we started installing the gun onto the side of the robot. And again, we had no idea if that was going to work. So you can sort of start seeing the robot come together here. No treads on it yet on the left-hand photo. On the right-hand photo, that's actually what the pilot in the back seat is using to drive the robot. So it's driven like a piece of construction equipment with little levers. And all of those little like box-looking things with the barcode on them, those are like sort of like hydraulic control units, and that's how the pilot controls it. So we finally got it on the legs. Started coming together, doing lots of welding and things like that to put it together. And then that's when Matt got inside the cockpit and started working on the controls. You can see him in there. The control systems is like the electronics, and that's how the triggers of the gun system work. So again, like a week ago, he had not written a single line of code, of course. And when we first got in there, it didn't work. So he's staying up through the night trying to make the thing work. We even installed a virtual reality camera. So the first time that we destroyed or drove the robot at Maker Faire, we did record that in 360-degree virtual reality video. And then finally, after like tons and tons of 18-hour days, it was finally almost done. This is like when the robot was still being held up by a 10-ton crane in a warehouse in Oakland. And then finally it was ready for the road. So we loaded it up on a lowboy and drove it out to Maker Faire for the first premiere. That's how we chained it down on the truck. And then it arrived at Maker Faire in San Mateo on the same trailer as a giant leather-headed, fire-breathing, stripper-pole Burning Man art car driven by a guy named Chester. Can't make this up. And so yeah, we got on the back of the truck. We unloaded it, and that was, the fun had just begun because we had never actually operated this thing ever. So we were learning on the fly. We hadn't even put on all the armor panels onto it yet, and we hadn't created any of the ammunition that we were going to fire. So some of us started building the ammunition, which is basically like cornstarch and water that you put in these bowls with some food coloring, and that's our equivalent of the giant paintballs. We had our Pittsburgh art car ready to destroy, and then after much work at San Mateo Maker Faire, we ended up premiering the first mech, and we stood it up and the crowd went crazy. Yeah. And that was America's first premiere of a giant human piloted combat robot.
Wow.
Woo! Yes! So these are all the guys that helped us. So you've got the 3 co-founders, but you've got some other badass people. The dude on the far left-hand side is actually the head of concept art for Mech Warrior Online. So like, every single piece of concept art that we use is from him, and that's how we actually designed our mech in terms of concept.
Is that Woody Harrelson on here?
He wishes he was Woody Harrelson. That's Nat Hunter. He actually runs a snowmobile business in Boston, and he just loves machines, and he makes tons of cash, and so he just likes to volunteer with us. So this is our extensive pit crew. We got tons of press. Everybody at the Maker Faire loved it. We destroyed an art car. This was the photo that was widely circulated. I was like the MC guy, so the Matt and Guy, the 2 lead engineers, are inside the robot in the cockpit, and I was an MC, kind of like the Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey circus guy, being like, "Hey, who wants to see a giant robot do battle?" And then I would be like, "Yeah, last round the car lost." Like, and I would interview the art car guy, and he'd be like, "Yeah, that was a pretty bad round for us last time. We were pretty defenseless against the overwhelming power of the MegaBot." So it was fun. I don't know if this is gonna work. This is
He looks a lot like RoboCop too.
It does, yeah, it does look like. Also all the moose from Chappie. We've gotten that one. So this is at the Computer World History Museum in Mountain View, and so we had the world's first installation of a real-life mech, and we got to premiere it at the museum. We got tons of press. We won the award for Editor's Choice, best exhibit at the Maker Faire, and so then we were like, you know what? This shit's working. Let's get it on the road and take it to Hollywood.
That's right.
And so this is Matt walking down into the basement of Walt Disney headquarters in LA. I ended up meeting Mark Cuban. We had all these meetings with investors looking for somebody to give us $10 million to make this reality even more epic. And lots of pitch meetings like this, lots of Hollywood executives trying to steal every dime that we've ever made and take our rights. And it became very frustrating in Hollywood. This is in Legendary Studios, where they made Godzilla. And this is kind of like how we felt going to Hollywood. It's like, oh God, like those guys are just trying to take advantage of us. So we decided, what could we do to take the power away from Hollywood and make our own entertainment franchise? So of course we looked around the world and we're like, there's only one other giant robot in the world, and it's in Japan. So we challenged them to a duel.
There you go.
This is the Kuratas robot. This is created by Sudobashi Heavy Industry by an artist named Koguro-san. That's him with the white bandana. His pilot there is the lovely lady in the center, and then the robot genius on the team is the dude on the left. They built this robot 3.5 years ago. It was on sale on Amazon for $1 million, and people kept saying, "Oh yeah, it's like the one in Japan." The one in Japan is not as cool as ours in terms of how it works, but it looks a lot cooler. So, this is a Kuratas robot. We challenged him to a duel. We had found the other side of our anime cartoon. The challenge, the competitor. This is the other part of that fan art that was created. So, of course, it happened to be July 4th, and we were sitting around talking, like, how can we get people's attention? And it was like, I came from journalism background, and one of the things that we've all learned is that it's good to ride on top of media waves. July 4th, strap on some capes. Let's do this thing, America. We challenged him to the duel, and it went viral. So we were sitting in a house in Berkeley after the first video went live, and we were like, holy crap, it's like on the front page of Reddit in day one. Oh my gosh, it's like every time we were refreshing YouTube, it was higher and higher. Ended up getting like over 8 million views. All these news people started calling us like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. 4 days later, Kuratas responded with a YouTube video where their CEO basically accepted our challenge and challenged us to double down and said, you know what, giant paintball guns are not cool enough. We need to have melee combat as the only condition of our acceptance. And so they demanded melee combat, and so we said, okay, melee combat it is.
What's melee combat?
Melee combat, it's like hand-to-hand combat, swords, flamethrowers, punching, real steel kind of stuff.
Rocket punch.
This is the final. This is like the big piece of fan art, like I was saying, and now the story was sort of complete. So we decided to put the thing on the road and get even more attention. So we took it to Comic Con, got it inside Petco Field, the first giant mech to ever be in a baseball stadium. Why not? We were. This was hilarious because we installed the giant T-shirt blasting cannon on the left arm, and we stuffed it with like 60 T-shirts. This was for the zombie thing. What's the
Zombie walk?
Yes, yeah, the zombie walk or whatever, where they're like running and trying to escape out of Petco Field. So they wanted us to be the final thing. So like a zombie dressed up as Jesus, or Jesus dressed up as a zombie, I don't know. The final thing is like, he's like, ah, and then everybody like runs down the stairs, and then the MegaBot rises up and we shoot 60 T-shirts at about 30 miles an hour into people's faces. At one point where I looked at Matt and we were just like, this is our job. This is awesome. This is what we've become. So we did like the whole shtick, you know, generating awareness. Had some Japanese media come over and create an absolutely hilarious piece of Japanese news. It's like the National Enquirer of Japan television. We did not know that. It's like, oh, Megabots! And it has like this guy watching the whole time and talking. It's hilarious. It's on our Facebook page. Really encourage you to check out MegaBots Inc. Facebook page. The Kickstarter goal was to make this even more epic. The first robot we designed was $175,000, bootstrapped, like I just showed you. So to take it up a notch, we're like, you know what? What could we do with like $500,000? And if we partnered with some of the world's leading robot people. This is what we came up with. It's the Mark III, and that is indeed what we will be working on. So we launched a Kickstarter campaign. This is day one in Kickstarter headquarters, in the control room. You know, then Kickstarter, they say you're going to know if you're going to be successful in the first like couple days. First couple days, we'd already raised almost $100 and something thousand. So we were pretty stoked and well on our way to successful raise. We ended up raising $550,000 from almost 8,000 people. And that's pretty sweet. And that's why I was saying all of you should have given us some cash, because this is going to be a real thing, and all those people are now a part of it. This is what we're creating. We are creating a live events, like monster truck rallies, combined with science fiction, combined with wrestling, combined with UFC, and maybe some Formula One sprinkled in. But yeah, the idea is that we're going to have a television program. Our advisors now include the co-founder or the creators of BattleBots that you might have seen on ABC, and also some of the Mythbusters guys. We're hoping to have also the MegaBots movie. We're going to have MegaBot comic books. We're going to have MegaBot reality series following up to the live duel. And the story that we're going to be telling, hopefully on a major network, we're not sure which network it's going to be yet, is going to basically be about us not only building a mech, but actually building one of the most outrageous startup companies you've ever heard of, and trying to make ourselves into real-life superheroes, essentially. We're going to premiere it, and the idea is that after this first duel against Japan, everybody in this room gets let in on a secret, which is we are going to announce after the duel, which will be on TV next year around this time, that any country in the world can get technology from us as a kit, which will allow them to field their own giant robot. And in the 6 months after that, we're going to have a tournament like the Olympics of giant human-piloted mech robot wars. And there's going to be a Brazilian robot, a German robot, a Japanese robot, hopefully a Saudi Arabian robot. And so there's some concept art imagining what would happen if some of the boys down in Alabama got a hold of the kit, maybe what they would create.
And African Congo, don't forget that.
Real life G-Gun.
Those are all going to be awesome. Virtual reality, in an Oculus, we're going to have drones in the arena. What's even cooler is that we're going to integrate the live event with video games. And so in the arena, there's going to be different, like, for instance, gates or obstacles that keep the two robots strategically unable to really do battle. And in order to get at each other and to achieve victory, they have to do these strategic tasks like opening a gate. One way to open the gate could be to shoot giant paintballs at the little red button, or your fans could use their cell phones to help that team open the gate. So imagine playing a video game where you watch it unfold in real time on the field with 15-foot tall giant robots. We're going to have real robot toys. We're going to have contests. And so that's the story of MegaBots. And yeah, thank you.